Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Sausalito Spotlight. I'm Ellie Foster, local realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, and today I'm joined by Angela Nicholas. She is the owner of Diameter Plants, which is located right on Caledonia Street here in Sausalito. Angela, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for for being here.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit, how did Diameter Plants come to be?
So I used to actually have a totally different career making software.
Okay.
And eventually I sort of realized that I wanted something a little less screen-based. I left my job, took some time exploring some of my passions, some of my hobbies. Plants have always been an interest of mine. I've been growing them ever since I've been an adult or had my own space to put plants into. And so finally, at a certain point, I decided to just take the leap. I found this space. I was already living in Sausalito, and I just thought, why not now?
Awesome. And so you wanted to open one in Sausalito because you live here, or was there a certain reason why Sausalito was the chosen spot?
No, I actually have always kind of loved Marin. My grandparents lived here, so I grew up coming here, and I loved the Bay Area generally. So I moved to Sausalito originally just to kind of try out the North Bay and see how it felt, see how I liked it. And eventually I decided that I didn't want to stay here, and that's when I decided, okay, opening a business here would make sense.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and you're in such a great location too. Caledonia Street is tough to beat.
I love this street. Honestly, I love this town, and I feel like another thing that actually makes Sausalito very unique to indoor plants is the humidity here. We have a Mediterranean climate because of the fog that comes through, so a lot of the tropicals that only work indoors, other cities, work well outdoors here as well. So it makes it actually a really unique place to have a tropical indoor plant shop.
Yeah, you're spot on. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you source your plants from?
Plants come from all over. A majority of them come from growers based in Florida, San Diego, and Hawaii. There are larger wholesale plant nurseries, almost I call them the Costco of plants, but huge warehouses where these plants get trucked into, and I go every week. I handpick all the plants myself, so I'm always checking for symmetry, quality, health, diseases, pests, all that kind of stuff to make sure everything that comes in here is real healthy.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. So what would you say are some of your goals over the next year?
Yeah, so I have a wide range of things I've been considering. Expanding the business is definitely one of them. Doing more outdoor plants is absolutely on the docket. I've started to branch into patios and containers and that type of stuff. So introducing native plants and things that survive really well outdoors here as well. And then, yeah, hopefully one day having a bigger space as well.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So what do you like to do in Sausalito? Do you have any favorite shops, any favorite restaurants?
A lot of favorite places in Sausalito, wonderful restaurants here, but my favorite place to shop has got to be Heath Ceramics. I love their work. I have a couple pieces in my home, and I just think it's so timeless and works really well with modern and traditional decor.
Awesome. So cool. And so what would you say are two of the coolest plants or two of your favorite plants that you have in shop right now that you've recently gotten?
So right now, I have a lot of favorite plants overall, so it's always sort of my favorite plant of the week, but I love learning about new varietals, and this plant is called the Geo plant, and it's new to the market right now. It's in the Calathea or Marantaceae family, so it doesn't need any direct sun, and it just has these awesome, glossy, almost black leaves with a magenta stripe down the leaf, and I just think it looks really stunning.
And they look super thick too. Oh my gosh, they're almost soft.
It's a hardy plant.
Yeah.
It likes moisture, but also isn't going to dry out the second you miss the watering, at least in my experience so far. So yeah, it's a pretty cool new option that's hitting house plant stores in the last couple months.
I love it. I love it. And it's got these purple undertones on the underside of it too. So cool.
Yeah. So if you're, well, maybe this is getting too technical for your interview, but if you're familiar with calatheas, they often have purple undersides, and so you can see some of the similarities between this plant and, say, a different calathea with purple undersides right here.
Very cool. Very cool. And Angela, how many plants do you own? I have to ask.
I'm trying to be reasonable about it. I have probably about 40 in my home, but I have recently instated a 1 in, 1 out policy, so I'm no longer allowed to bring more plants in without also taking some plants out. So what that means is every once in a while, some of my personal plants actually come into the shop and are available to purchase.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I know you have to kind of do this thing where you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep bringing them in because we're addicted, right? I can attest to that. I'm definitely a plant lover, but you've got to create space, and it's got to fit in the space that you have, right? Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, I also view plants as almost like a experiment or a learning experience. And so it's normal to have a plant for a while, learn about it, watch it, and once you learn, it's fun to swap it out with something else that you want to learn about instead. And that doesn't mean throwing out the plant. Oftentimes I will gift it to a friend, propagate it, split it up, put it on my patio, find other ways to use the plant, and then bring in something new that I can learn about in a similar fashion.
Very cool. That's awesome. So tell me, what is something that customers don't know about diameter plants that you think that they should?
Well, something new that we've just started recently doing is home and business consultations. I don't advertise this service online anywhere, so people may not have heard about it yet, but yeah, if you have a space that you aren't sure what plants would survive where, well, I can come in person, take a look, gauge your lighting, gauge your home environment, and then help put together a plan of plants that would thrive in your space.
That's so cool. So you can really help people just kind of create this awesome oasis within their home.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of design services, helping arrange things in a beautiful way, but then also just more practical services of what are your conditions in your home, what are your options here, and how can I set you up for success so you're not choosing plants that aren't going to do well and then you'll find yourself replacing them too often.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh my gosh, okay. So what is one thing that you would say you've learned the most when owning a business?
The main thing is probably to always have a plan B.
Well put.
As someone who used to consider herself a bit of a perfectionist, adjusting to the, ebbs and flows of retail, employment, business, everything, it was definitely a transition for me. But now whenever I come up with a plan, I always come up with plan B, tell myself I'd be very happy with the plan B as well, and then everything works out better that way.
I like that. That's a good strategy. Awesome. Well, Angela, thank you so much for having me here today. You have an absolutely beautiful shop. I'm going to post more photos of the shop as well so that you guys can all take a peek. She's got some amazing plants in here. But yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful getting to know more about you and your business.
Thank you, Ellie.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone, be sure to check out Diameter Plants for some amazing plant inspiration. Like I said, she has awesome stuff in here. You guys have got to take a look. Also, make sure that you head on over to parkbench.com/Sausalito and subscribe to stay in the know with all things Sausalito related. We'll see you next time.